Hello, we're back. We've been doing these videos every Friday, and I hope to continue because of the urgency of the situation. Last week I made a mistake. I said that the first gospel was Luke. It was actually Mark. So I stand corrected. What I really want to say is, how did we get where we are today? And what I think the problem is we have some dysfunctional political system, a dysfunctional religious system, and a dysfunctional financial system. And religion and politics tend to be swayed by the financial system. So we, at this juncture in our evolution, we really must take the bull by the horns and change these systems. The latest COP climate change conference of all the big shots is going to happen in a week or so, and I'm not overly hopeful, just because these people are working within these systems. So how do we change? Because it's urgent. It needs to happen. Almost 4 years ago, I acquired my one and only grandchild, and I made a vow of sorts that I would do anything I could to ensure that that child has a future. I'm sure there are many people out there that feel the same way I do. So one of the very encouraging things, and I mentioned this before, is the women of Iran and the women of the world saying to this religious cult, leadership cult, that we're done, we've had it. Hopefully the Russian women, after they start counting up all their dead sons and husbands, will do the same thing. They're going to have to say, we're done. We're not going along with this anymore. That goes for the Americans and the Chinese. I tend to believe that this whole revolution would happen through this vehicle of, we've had it. We're not going to cooperate anymore. The big thing, of course, is the huge amount of destructive weaponry that world powers have accumulated. You got to hope that even world powers and world governments are going to start to realize that if they don't change, they are hooped. So I hope you can hear the geese. They're honking in the background. I had a discussion with another person, and that person said, "Oh, you think that you're going to start a global revolution?" Well, no, individually I'm not going to start a global revolution, but I'd sure like to be a part of it. It is so urgent. It is so necessary. There are solutions to our problem, but they need to happen right away. The alarm bells are ringing very loudly. I hope with my voice and other voices that we will come to the place where we'll realize that if we don't act more or less immediately, we could all disappear off the face of the earth, and this great, if you want to call it experiment, would end. this great place where we are learning and growing so that we become worthy to be with God. It's a big challenge. There are solutions, and I mentioned it before about issuing everyone a voting card with a PIN number. That could be done on a country basis. That could also be done on a global basis. I used to, in my fundamentalist day, think that world government was a horrible, Satan-inspired thing. But the more I look at it, the more I realize that, you know, the world is totally interconnected. And we do have the technology to have a world government. I know there are a lot of my Christian friends that are going to say, oh, you've really gone overboard here. But I'm just trying to be rational about the whole thing. I've been told that when it comes to faith, you shouldn't really reason. And this totally doesn't make sense to me. I've also been called recently a heretic by a Christian friend, and that at first, you know, disturbed me until I realized that throughout history there have been many heretics, and actually being called a heretic puts me in good company because they fought against, resisted the status quo. Jesus did the same thing. I think Jesus also flipped the tables of the money changers in the temple because he realized that this money system was enslaving people. Political parties are, you might say, I think they're very destructive because they are trying to tear one another down rather than build up. So I don't want to be overly long-winded about this, but if you see this video, you know, pass it on, subscribe. It may look impossible to have a global revolution. I don't believe it is impossible. I think it is possible. It's just raising the awareness and acting. Awareness alone is not enough. Action is required. So I'm asking, and in a way pleading, with whoever I can contact, like, let's get it together. Let's stop the madness. Let's live up to our destiny. Let's live up to what it is to be a good human being. So let's try. And in the meantime, God bless, and don't get overly discouraged. Thank you.